wife was pushed down the stairs by an unseen force.
He was a young man in old-fashioned clothes in a fetal position on my floor, and we locked eyes.
I was getting a warning about this girl's brother. A month to the day that I did that, her brother was in a gas explosion in the mother's house, and he died 10 days later.
Death and the unknown. Two things that go hand in hand. For some of us, death means the end. For others, it means a brand new journey. There's a lot we can't explain, from paranormal experiences to psychic mediums seeing tragedies before they happen. But one thing's for certain, we all have questions. I'm your host, Kevin Jannotti. Join me as we take a journey into the unknown. Ghosts. What are they? And what's keeping them here? Love? Unfinished business, perhaps? Whatever the case may be, we seem to be drawn to them like moths to a flame. Clinton Road, New Jersey. The most haunted road in America. This 10-mile-long stretch of road is home to hellhounds, the ghost of a drowned boy, and a phantom vehicle that runs drivers off the road. But this ominous stretch of road is only the start of our journey into the paranormal. Miss Fanny's Victorian Party House, the former home of Fanny Van Wyck, a very interesting woman. Born in 1903, Miss Fanny had no children of her own, which allowed her and her husband to travel to England to ghost hunt. Because of this trip, she believed she brought home the spirit of a little girl. Miss Fanny loved company and would host seances in the sitting room of her Victorian mansion.
Fanny, maybe, I don't know if she kind of manipulated me to do what I do here. I don't know, because actually the room you're sitting in here, this was it was her sitting room. And in the 50s and the 60s, she would have psychics come. And they would sit in this room and they would do readings.
When she passed away in 1988, it was her wish to keep her home and all of its contents open to the public like a museum. Unfortunately, all her possessions were auctioned off. But the new owner, Julia Drahos, has kept to Miss Fanny's wishes. While it was never Julia's intention to live in a haunted house, the resident spirits in the house have grown a sort of attachment to her.
And I saw a man that was, or he wasn't really a man, he was a young man, in old-fashioned clothes in a fetal position on my floor. And we locked eyes, I swear. And it was, and then, it was probably over so quickly, but to me it felt like forever.
Some spirits are so strong, they can manipulate the real world to a rather alarming extent.
And then the door downstairs kept opening, and you would have to lock it and chain it, and it kept coming unlocked and unchained. And I'm like, how is that possible? I'm like, what do you mean? I said, are you sure you locked it the right way? And he's like, nope, we did. And my daughter had locked it, turned the key, locked it, and she turned her back. And the second she turned her back, she heard click, click, and it opened.
The first thing most people do if things go bump in the night is call the Ghostbusters. We called Dan Pacella of Orange County, New York Paranormal.
I maintain that dealing with the dead is not that different than dealing with the living. So when you first meet somebody, you are going to be standoffish. And then the second time we come, then they tend to gather around a little bit more. The way that we do it, we are purely what you would call a scientific group, which is a bad term. It just means we use equipment. Paranormal studies don't hold up well against scientific methods, so when I say scientific, that's what I mean.
But how does Dan and his team talk to those spirits haunting a place?
One of the things that I find that we do that I hear is different. I don't know if it is. We use a lot of stationary cameras. Like I have about 10 cameras that I put in places that we're not at. So we use a lot of full spectrum. They're GoPro cameras. They literally are this big.
Yeah.
And they film in 4K, and it's, in full spectrum, so it's both the infrared spectrum and the ultraviolet spectrum, which is where these things tend to exist outside of our visual medium of what our eyes are capable of seeing.
Yeah.
Digital recorders, thermal camera, spirit boxes, different kinds. Some sweep backwards and forwards, some sweep forwards. We use a phonetic generator device called the Ovulus. We have a structured light sensor camera, which anybody who's ever watched a TV show, it's the stick figure camera. And we use a communication device called the Phasma box, which uses chopped up sound bars. It's kind of like the spirit box in a way, but it allows, in theory, all this is theory. It throws out these chopped up sound bars into the electromagnetic field, allows spirits to form words and sounds and communicate. With the way we investigate, if we don't capture it on a camera or a recorder, it didn't happen. People come in and some people think it's a fun house. No, we're going to sit here quietly for an hour in this basement, and that's how it's actually done.
How can you prove to the skeptics that what they are seeing and hearing are from the unknown? Well, like any experiment, the more evidence you have, the more likely your story.
We would have one piece of equipment get evidence at the same time the other piece of equipment got the same name, for example. At a place called the Wayside Irish Pub near Syracuse, we had an EVP. When we asked a soldier's name, a soldier had died there in a fight in the 1860s. Nobody knew his name, nobody knew anything about it. We asked the soldier, "What's your name, soldier?" And we capture an electronic voice phenomenon, noise that the recorder can hear and we can't, saying Robert. At the same time, the Ovulus, the phonetic generator, says Robert, and the Phasma box 30 seconds later says Robert. So you have 3 different pieces of equipment coming together.
It must be absolutely thrilling to get evidence like you see on TV. But I wonder, what does an actual ghost hunter think about all those TV shows?
Paranormal television is a double-edged sword. It's the reason for the popularity of it. We wouldn't have all these books. We wouldn't have all this equipment if it wasn't for that. But what it's the negative part of it is that it's made people think that they're experts on everything because the folks on TV are. They look for trouble, and then they contact us and ask us to do things we're not qualified to do.
Dan and his wife realized at the very beginning of their ghost hunting careers that they are dealing with real, unseen presences, and it could be a very dangerous job if you don't know what you're doing.
Very early on, and most things that happen like this are because of you not knowing better. At the Burlington prison in New Jersey, my wife was pushed down the stairs by an unseen force, and she was pushed so hard that she went right through me. Like she accelerated through me. She hit the railing so hard that she had 2 black eyes for I think 3 weeks, and I had to peel the gray paint of the railing off her teeth.
And what happens when there's forces that the ghost hunters themselves can't handle?
Sometimes people don't need us. What they want is a psychic medium. So, I say, okay, well, let me send this person over to this person who is more qualified to help them.
Speaking of psychic mediums, Dan referred us to his friend Tina Breslau, a medium who has worked with Dan on a number of occasions. Why are certain people able to magically connect with those who have crossed over?
I was really small. I was about 5, and I remember going to my mother that I seen this old man ripping up her wedding dress, and she kind of freaked out, and she asked me what the old man looked like, and I told her, and she brought out a picture of my grandfather, whom I never met, and it was him. I was raised Catholic. Then my mother went to born-again Christian. They believed in that you were possessed. So then my mother started going to church and started trying to get me blessed to get the demon out of me because I shouldn't have been seeing spirit at that time. As much as I was being told over here, I was hearing the opposite. I'd have people that came to me with people that have committed suicide. And because religions believe that if you commit suicide, you're going to burn in hell. But yet when I read these souls, there was no pain, there was no torture, there was no burning in hell. It was maybe I wish I shouldn't have done it this way, but I'm okay. I hid it for a long time, but I can hear them very clearly, and then it's not until I actually sit with a person and actually I scratch to hear the voices, because a lot of times people lost more than one soul, and a lot of times there's a lot of souls trying to talk. And when I'm trying to hear the message, it's like I'm getting 15 different signals, but your mind has a right side and a left side of your brain. Your right side's artistic. It kind of picks up on spirit and spirit talk. So I'm able to single out the voice that I really want to hear the most and the one that's giving the most message to this person.
It sounds amazing to talk to spirits. I wonder if Tina finds it as thrilling.
I panic every time I go do it. I do. I panic every time. What if I get it wrong? Because there's no guarantee on the message that you're going to get. And then every time I leave a person, they're so happy, and the stuff that comes out, even I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Every time I sit in front of a person and something comes out and they're like, you could not have known that. I just recently started a new job, and the woman that I work that's training me, she turned around, she was talking about her husband, and just, I asked them, please give me something to prove that I really can hear you. And when, I gave her a specific on a plaque in her house that they had, and I've never been to her house, I don't know her, I just met her. And when that came out, she's like, oh my God, you really do see. I need a little bit of proof, and it always bugs me out. Like if I come out with a song or I come out with something, and they're like, oh my God, how did you know that? And I didn't know that. It's just something that came through. My stepson's girlfriend, she came in with a girl that her father passed. So we did a seance where you could see spirits standing next to them on thermal. When I did it, never in history did I ever watch herbs burn like a fire. And right in my cast iron thing, it was fire shooting out of it. My son was recording this, and I was getting a warning about this girl's brother. And a month to the day that I did that, her brother was in a gas explosion in the mother's house, and he died 10 days later.
And what about our beloved furry companions? Can mediums talk to them?
Once in a while, I'll go past like a dog owner and I'll see an animal running around them. And then there are people that believe that dogs don't have a soul. How could you believe that? They're the most loving things. If you spell dog backwards, it's God. Okay? They're the most loving things on earth. That's the prime example of unconditional love.
Yep.
That dog is going to love me no matter what I do.
Yep.
I'm going to come home and that dog is still going to love me. So yeah, they deserve to be in heaven more than anybody.
I imagine being able to talk to the other side would change one's perspective of the world and the afterlife.
We have good and bad people in the world, I will say that. You can have somebody that's mean and mean-hearted, and they come through as mean and mean-hearted. But then you've got a lot of good souls that come through that are scared to pass over because they think they're going to burn in hell because they weren't born again or they weren't this and that. And I don't believe that. I believe that you resonate with what you're supposed to be. So most of the time people are afraid to even pass over because they're raised with the ideology that what you did in life you did wrong, so you're going to burn in hell. I got to believe that there's chances and there's karma and there's things that you got to pay, and we don't know how it's done. None of us are there. We don't know how it's done. There's no proof that it, but it's something that you feel and hear. And when you're talking to souls, there's a reason why their soul had to leave on that day, and we don't know it. But I woke up and I got a phone call and my husband died, and I had to run to the hospital, and he was dead for 45 minutes. How does he come back from that? He's still able to talk. I'm watching him still go through a lot of stuff. But how does that just happen? You know, you see somebody with so much life in them and then they're gone, but yet that was their day. We don't know.
A lot of mystery surrounds the other side. Perhaps Tina's husband can give us some clarity.
I don't remember a thing. I was picking up a load of wood pellets, and I was strapping down a load because I used to be a truck driver, and I woke up in the hospital 3 days later and said, where am I? And oh, you died for 45 minutes, they said. It's like, okay, no vitals for 45 minutes, and I don't remember seeing anything. It's I wish I could remember if I did see anything, but I lost it. I lost it all. And I'm just starting to, and I was angry for at least 5 or 6 years until I got somewhat used to not be able to, I can't do a thing. I just, I can't do anything. I can't even mow the lawn. And it's a bummer not being able to work, because I used to work, 100 hours a week, and I loved it. And I just ran on nervous energy, just all the time. Between the dying and the cancer and the depression and everything that goes on, God saved me 2 times. That's what I believe. I think I'm meant to be here for some strange reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'll find out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ghosts, voices from the beyond, death. What fascinates us vibrant creatures about the end of all we know? What lies beyond? All we have is clues, inklings, and possibilities. It's up to you to decide.